more complicated. So explain why the material chosen is suitable for the intended environment and the effect of the environmental conditions on photosynthesis, osmosis, respiration, transpiration and tropisms.
Whatever that means.
Is there anybody that didn't get this handout last week? Yeah? This is basically for you to be able to check, okay, what photosynthesis and things that you are. Yeah, I just need to. Oh, I had an extra copy. Okay, so is anybody completely familiar with all of these? With all of these at the moment? No? Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm going to just finish it off at lunch because I didn't get a chance to finish it off. But I've done like a sort of simplified handout of basically what each of these mean, like very simple, okay? But I'm not asking for a big essay or anything. Like if you look at Elaine's one, that is the whole of her part 3. Okay, so it's not a lot of detail that you need to go into. What you basically have to do with this is for photosynthesis, osmosis, respiration, transpiration and tropisms, I basically need to know what they are, so an explanation of each, to explain what each one does. That doesn't have to be a long narrative. I want a very simple explanation of what it is, so that I can see that you understand what it is. So I'll just read you one of Elaine's, so you can see how simple this is, yeah? So she's done photosynthesis. She's put, this is when a plant uses the sunlight and the green in their leaves make sugars from carbon dioxide and water. Most of the energy is used to make new plant material, although some of it is stored by the plant for use during the months where there is less sunlight. That's it.
So you don't have to explain why it...
That's the next part of it. You have to say how your plant design could affect the environmental factors. So with photosynthesis, Elaine goes on to say, the sunlight that the room receives during the day will be invaluable for this process. Sorry, so what she's saying is this room gets a lot of sunlight, so photosynthesis shouldn't be a problem. Where the plant uses sunlight, you know, to create, to make sugars from carbon dioxide and water, that's going to be no problem. The plant is still going to be able to do that because it gets lots of sunlight in the room. Okay? Is everyone okay on that? So we'll just talk through another one. So if we look at osmosis, so the explanation is this is the delivery of water from the soil to the plant. The water is taken from a solution of low concentration to a solution of high concentration. If the water evaporates or dries out before the plant can withdraw it, then wilting occurs. So basically, this is the water going from low to high. And if it doesn't go through this process, the leaves on the plant will start to wilt. Okay? So it's just the scientific way of explaining why plants will wilt. Yeah? So you just need a very simple explanation, just so I can understand, well, just so I can see that you understand what the basic process is. And then adding this onto your client design, Elaine's put, the room is quite warm, so to avoid this, plants will need to be checked every other day to ensure it's not drying out. But caution should be taken not to overwater the plants. So she's basically saying it's quite warm in there, so in order for osmosis to carry on, you'll have to water it regularly. Okay? Is everyone okay with that, yeah? Does anybody know, off the top of their head, what transpiration is? No?
Is it like plants sweating
basically, the plants, transpiration is basically where the plants release excess water that they don't need. So they release it into the air. And I mean, Elaine's done a really actually quite good explanation of this. She's put, plants put down roots into the soil to draw water and nutrients up the stems and leaves. Some of this water is returned to the air by transpiration. Transpiration rates vary widely depending on weather conditions, such as temperature, humidity and sunlight availability. Transpiration rates go up as the temperature goes up, especially during the growing season. So basically, the warmer the room, the more your plant is going to sweat, as Zoe puts it, the more it's going to release excess water it doesn't need. So then transpiration is going to be, if you've got quite a cool room, you might have to think about putting it somewhere closer to a window where it is going to get a little bit more heat so this can happen. But if it's a hot room, you don't want it to go sort of near a radiator or anything like that, because that kind of heat will cause it to wilt. So it's all about temperature. It's about putting it in the correct position in the room to stop this happening. Yeah?
Can I just ask you a question? Does it depend on the species, like with a cactus doing this kind of stuff? Like, does every plant do it?
Every single plant will go through these processes.
Okay.
Yeah, these are environmental processes. Every living organism has to go through them. But obviously, this is where, like, if you talk about cacti, like, if you look to where they originate from, obviously dry heat and humidity and stuff is what they like. So you wouldn't really want to then put like a cacti in like a room where there's a draft or anything like that, because they're not used to that kind of conditions. So you really have to look at your actual plants, and this is where it's important to make sure you choose plants that all have similar growing conditions. Because there's no point putting a daffodil with a cactus, because one of them's going to die no matter where you put it. They don't grow the same. So you have to make sure you're putting it in the correct position. But that's where it's important to make sure you've got plants of similar growing needs. That will make it a lot easier for you when it comes to doing this. Okay? So is everyone clearer on this now?
Will you give me a photocopy of that?
I'm going to give you that.
It will help.
No. So, I mean, this has got the explanation on there, but I know some people were looking at it last week and getting even more confused. So I am going to do a very simplified handout, and it's just, it's so sad I look at this, but it's from the BBC, like, school, like, GCSE thing, and it is basically really simplified explanations. But what I don't want is, I don't want you all to be handling the assignment and for me to be reading my own words. Okay? So you've got to put this into your own words. Yeah? You've got to change it. I just want to go through the marking criteria quickly, because, I mean, it's quite a simple assignment, really. Once you break it down into these 3 parts, it's not a lot. Like, it's not a lot of written bits, you know. It's photographs. I want to see the pictures of the plant, then I just want to know. I don't need to know the plant's history or anything. I just need to know about its environmental factors. Remember, this is an environmental assignment. So I don't want to know about furniture in the room. I don't want to know about who lives there, anything. I just want to know about temperature, light, watering, humidity, drafts, you know. Think environment on it all the time, yeah? To get a pass, it says that information is limited in range and scope, but covers the stated criteria. So that's basically, if you do like just standard sentences, you're going to get a pass. But I really want everyone to be looking more at like the merit and the distinctions. You know, look at going a little bit more detailed with it. So when you're talking about the plant, it wouldn't hurt for you to do a couple of sentences on the history of the plant. I just don't want that to be the whole assessment. But the more information you know about this, is the better, really. And I mean, I really would suggest you all come up and have a look at Elaine, because she's done some very good, like, pictures and then very short sentences, just describing it all, but it gives a lot of detail. So I just want you all to just do want to see that you've done a little bit of research, especially on the plants. I want to see that they're all either from the same season or the same plant group. Yeah? And like I said, there are loads of books over there. I had it last week. There are loads of books over there. And there's a book over there, actually. I think it's the house plant book. It actually tells you what plants are good for particular rooms. So it has all different sections. It has kitchen. Is it the one you've got there? I think it might be the one with the white folder. I'll see if I can find it. But it actually gives you rooms and plants that are suitable for like kitchens, bathrooms, front rooms, conservatories, bits like that. So if you had to look at that, that would really help you out as well, yeah? Are there any questions? Is everyone...
So, what's the minimum of doing plants? But would they all have to be in the pot?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just one design. You are making one planted design only.
Okay.
Yeah, not more. Because it would be a bit of wasted work because you can only be marked on one. And with